was about 10 years ago. Organic was still kind of under the rug. It wasn't a huge concept, and people still really didn't know what it meant, as it is today as well.
If we just look at using nature to enhance nature, how more natural can you get?
We don't do any manipulation to the wines. We really want it to be just an expression of what Mother Nature provides us with.
So it's difficult, much more difficult to do organic farming. It's the right thing to do, though.
Biodynamic, a set of principles developed by the Austrian scientist and philosopher Rudolf Steiner, who came in 24 up with his agriculture presentation. And what it deals with is that you want to bring your farm, your microcosmos, into a natural balance and not bring in a lot of artificial impacts from the outside. So you want to really encourage the natural balance that is in the land that you have.
That really, I think, got other people thinking about changing their ways, getting away from these conventional industrial ideas into something that's more natural. So I believe it was in the 30s and 40s that some of the first organic farming started to take place.
He would say you look at a plant and what you see is the body, the arms and the legs. The head is the root system. So if you've come along and poured chemicals in the soil, you have just poured chemicals into the head and the mouth of the plant. And the plant cannot move. It's obliged to absorb these chemicals in its mouth. So Steiner's idea is, let's heal the soil first. By extension, if you have a healthy environment for the soil and the plants by extension will improve their own growth.
The challenges we face to be organic are first moral. You know, we want to make a wine, as I think I've stated before. I'd like to restate, if I haven't, that it's the right thing to do. It's a quality in our wine that we choose to do, other people's don't, and some of that has to do with being certified and getting those certifications.
Ironically, it's more expensive to grow organically because you have to pay the organic certifiers roughly $10,000 per year to come out and test your grapes, test your soil. We'll pay someone to, someone to come out and test the soil. They can take a soil sample and make sure that there's no chemicals, no pesticides, no fungicides.
There's a 3-year conversion program where basically you got to get the soil and the plants to get to a certain level of balance. You got to get some of the artificial fertilizers, if you've used that in the past, herbicide. You got to get that out of there. So after 3 years in 2009, we then got certified, organic certified biodynamic. And from 2008, also the certified sustainability program. When you farm organic, you're not allowed to spray herbicide. And when the water that we use for irrigation hits the soil, weeds will be growing there. As the weeds are growing there, we have to get rid of them. They take up nutrients, they take water away from the soil, which will impact the vine. So we cannot spray herbicides. Instead, we have to use mechanical devices in-row tillers that will deal with some of it, and the rest of it is hoed by hand. So we literally go through and hand hoe about 40 miles 3 times a year. That is probably about 10 times more expensive than using herbicides.
We want the soil to be healthy. There's microorganisms in the soil that you want to keep alive. They feed the roots and the nutrients to the plants and the vines and help the general health of and vigor of the whole vineyard. When you start applying weed killer and pesticides and different types of fungicides, you start to kill more than just what your target is.
And our main expense has to do with weed control and the amount of time and physical hand labor that it takes for us to deal with weeds. There are some mechanized ways that we can do it, pulling things behind tractors, but none of them are 100% efficient.
The vineyard itself is 20 years old. It had not been pruned, farmed, harvested, chemicaled, or anything done to it in 4 years. It had essentially been left to languish. And when I rented this place, I said to the owner, "Can I have the vineyard?" And he said, "Absolutely, bring me a case of wine if you make any." And I looked at the vineyard, and the weeds were so high, the nets were all buried, the trellising was all broken, and the vines themselves had just gone into their own languishing growth. There was sickness, there was health, there was just about everything. They'd also not been watered in 4 years, so essentially they had gone wild.
The foods that we eat are so toxic because of the chemicals that we spray on our crops, whether it's strawberries. Think about strawberries. If you have 1,000 acres of strawberries that's an open, it's the most exposed and vulnerable fruit. If you have a guy flying a helicopter or an airplane spraying poison, it goes right into the strawberry.
When you think about it, when you do conventional grape growing and conventional winemaking, there's really no control. I mean, I never have any inspection in my winery of what I do out there. I can, I can do whatever I want to do. I can put whatever I want to put in my wines. If I can't sell them, it's my problem. That's United States, and that's totally cool. But there's a lot of chemicals I can put in my wine if I wanted to.
I just read recently that autism has increased by 600% in the past 20 years. Look at all the people that are dying left and right from cancer.
I think also people are starting to realize that they should spend the extra money on buying good stuff. Think about how successful Whole Foods have been. We work very close together with Whole Foods because we have a very similar philosophy as they do in regards to organic, biodynamic, sustainable.
We're definitely in a double-dip recession. We have a jobless, growthless, synthetic recovery characterized by uncertainty of the markets and no improvement in the underlying macroeconomic weaknesses that led to the crisis of 2008. We have far more accumulated debt, the cost of the bailout, the cost of a long-term set of wars, accelerating yearly deficits, which now totals the yearly GDP of the United States approaching 15 trillion, a significant decrease in industrial output, hoarding of money by the consumer population.
Now, just as the stock market has become a bargain hunter's paradise, so has the luxury wine market. Monica Bertrand has more on these deals for consumers and how they've become nightmares for wineries. Monica?
Scarlett, the high-end wine market is suffering the fate of the rest of the economy, with even the wealthy drinkers slashing spending on fine wines.
It was a little more difficult getting through 2009, 2010 when we had recession.
You have periods of prosper and you have periods of decline, and they definitely mirror what's going on with our country's economy, the world's economy. So in periods of prosper, we sell more wine. In periods where it's down, we sell less wine.
We had 6 months where we didn't sell a single case to existing distributors in 2008 into 2009. And that was really nervous for us. We just saw the inventory was just sitting there. 2009 just kept on going that way. People are cutting back. Then some of the lower priced wines became more successful. Some of the other guys in the industry got nervous. They started cutting down on prices.
You know, it's an agricultural product. We have other forces that affect our production levels every year. And it was interesting through those years, and really in the last 5 years, we've only had one harvest that was of any great, like, significant size.
You know, 6-7 years ago, you could come home and buy a $50, $60 bottle of wine and not think about it. But now there's so much competition, and it's such a labor of love, and so many people want to be in the wine business that you can find some great wines at some killer price points. So a lot of people really have to drop their prices, and a lot of wineries ended up going out of business.
2010 started getting a little bit better, and then 2011 came by, and my God, that was a great year. We were basically up 60% in 2011. People starting having confidence again.
2010, you know, was our one big, you know, year where we had really, you know, nice crop load.
Right now, Asia, you know, they're killing it with wine. And, you know, we've got a great account in Japan, and they are very into the trends of organic right now. They are a huge market in buying wine, and they've bought about 100 cases of our wine, and they really support and are into that trend of organic growing, organic farming, organic consumption.
So the more we get people to understand, the consumers to understand the importance of organic and biodynamic, the more demand there is. I also think the more supply there will be naturally. So it's an evolution that's happening. It's going in the right direction. It's a development, it's a trend, it's happening.
Whether you're conventional or whether you're organic or whether you're biodynamic or sustainable, all those things are just philosophies, but the heart of great wine comes under the vine. It comes from the soil and the ground that the grapes are planted on.
At the moment, it's too early to say, but we're on the right track as far as helping to improve the situation. Something is better than nothing is essentially the idea.
If you're looking to be a winemaker, folks, be prepared. It's beautiful. It's long, hard work, year after year after year after year. It's cyclical. It's right in with nature. You can never stop. You don't retire from winemaking. You just die.
Cheers.
Cheers.
The most important thing is I just really want people to be educated for themselves, for their future children, their future grandchildren, and for down the line in terms of the health of not only our earth, but, you know, ourselves, is that organic is simply not using pesticides or chemicals. We just need to get back to the way it used to be.
Something's in my coffee, yeah, there's something in my coffee, yeah. Must be the water, and it must be the water, yeah. It must be the water, 'cause it must be the water, and it must be the water, yeah. It must be the water, and there's something in the air we're breathing. It's in the air we're breathing. It's in the TV, he said. It's in the TV.